So I talked a little bit about the magic formula, but this is something that really, really helps with both situational and behavioral questions in an interview. So I like to think of it as a funnel, and it's going to narrow down. So think of the big picture, your role in the big picture, your accomplishments, a highlight, something that you did personally, not the team, but how you personally helped accomplish something and what that outcome was, the win. Maybe it's a big project to go live, something like that. But what's really important is that you focus on what Isabel did. What did Isabel do on that project? Not just the team. That helps stand out. And then we're going to talk about the actual interview. So I call this a 4-minute rule. You want to log into the interview, whether it's on Zoom, WebEx, Teams, anything else, 4 minutes early. I say 4 minutes instead of 5, just because it is not a common number, so you can remember it. But it also, a lot of times people are jumping from meeting to meeting. And if you log in too early, you're just sitting in the lobby, and not only are you going to work yourself up, but it can be distracting for the hiring manager. Practice common questions, and we'll go through these, but with each question, be honest, be personable, and have integrity with each question. Active listening. So this is huge, especially for like a first round interview. When the hiring manager is doing a lot of talking, you want to be on camera always. You want to try and make eye contact. This can be difficult when it's a panel, but you want to be engaged. No distractions. Do some head nods. Don't speak. Don't speak out. Don't try not to interrupt, but you do want to be engaged. That goes a long way. Another suggestion is part of active listening. If you don't understand a question or something like that, be honest. Ask to have it repeated in a different way. This shows that you're really listening and you're engaged. But try to limit that. Don't ask them to repeat every single question, because that clearly shows you're not paying attention. But that goes a long way. I spoke on this a little bit, but never turn off your camera. If it's a team interview and there's several people on the call and only one person has their camera on, that's okay. That's not a sign that you can turn your camera off. Always leave it on until the end and the call is over. And then really close the deal. At the end of the day, you're going in and you're selling yourself. Why are you interested in this job? Why are you a good fit? What's going to make you stand out and be the best decision for that company? So this is more on the 4-minute rule. Like I said, log into the meeting 4 minutes before, do your test connections, check your lighting again, check the background. I've had people get on interviews where their closet's open and there's a bunch of stuff falling out and it's distracting, or there's a lot of cats roaming around. Close the door. I've had people do interviews in unprofessional settings like a bathroom, so try not to do that. And if you do live with somebody, make sure that they do not come in and try to join in on the conversation or anything like that. That has happened. So just check your background. Review prepared questions. Like I said, you're going to come in with those few questions that are relevant to the job itself and the company, and then that unique question, you want to have those prepared. And of course, review your resume. You can talk about yourself all day, but when it comes down to it, just quick glances at your resume, make sure that you're in the mindset. And then take deep breaths. We're all human. It's okay to make mistakes. So really just get on, have those 4 minutes, do everything you need to do, and then just take some breaths. So we're going to go into some common questions and how to answer them and how to ace them. So a really common question when you first get on is, tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay, so we can talk all day, and you can tell if I am just talking to somebody, and I can start from the time I was born to my childhood to high school and college and everything, what I like to do in my free time, stuff like that. And in an interview, you really want to focus on the roles you've worked, 1 to 2 relevant accomplishments or career highlight. So what's something that over your 15 years of experience, what's best, what was your career highlight? Something that you think about often and you think, wow, that was just incredible and something unique. It's okay to share one thing that, if you're an avid hiker or something like that, you can share that, but really stick to the roles worked and 1 to 2 relevant accomplishments, or like I just shared, a career highlight. Strengths and weaknesses. This is also a very common question that's asked in interviews. Be honest, stay relevant to the role. So really balance what you're good at with awareness and desire to grow. Caution on perfectionist or weakness as a strength. Don't overdo it. Just be honest, and really stay relevant. Make sure it's your strength and weaknesses is in a professional setting, not something that you're bad at outside of work. That's not relevant. Why are you interested or right for this role? This is when your research comes in, and really something that you learned about the company, tie that in. So maybe you saw an article on LinkedIn, tie that in. A previous position or roadblock that you had in a previous position that is relevant to what this project is going to be like, or this position is going to be like. Stick to natural and authentic compliments. Don't go in for the overkill on like overselling yourself. Be really natural and authentic and honest when it comes down to it. And then Joe, do you want to step in here?
Absolutely. Thanks, Isabel. Really appreciate it. I did not get the memo on testing my natural lighting before. I know there's a little bit of a shadow going on here, but really appreciate it. So diving into and continuing on what Isabel was saying here with some of the common questions, starting off with an example of when you've gone above and beyond through all of your prep, through refamiliarizing yourself with your resume, and really having 1 to 2 key examples ready to go. This should be an answer that you have that you're ready to really explain on using that magic formula, right? So as a quick reminder, you want to start big picture, move to your role, specifically what you accomplished, and then what that outcome was from that. And then moving into handling challenges, right? That's a piece of every job nowadays. You're no longer, we're not in the world where you go in and you have 1 or 2 primary job responsibilities and then you clock your 8 to 5 and go home. We're in a world where you have to be cross-functional. You have to be able to speak clearly, communicate well as take on and wear multiple hats in your current day-to-day. And that's really what a lot of employers are looking for, is how can you critically think, connect dots, and help the team grow and be really a value add to the team. So, how do you take others' viewpoints? How do you empathize with your coworkers or your customer, or in this case, with this being a HIMSS meeting, with a patient or a clinician, whatever the case might be there. And then really, what were the lessons learned, right? So much of your professional development is understanding that there are going to be roadblocks, there's going to be challenges, and learning from those is what employers want to see. They know that it's going to be part of the job. And if you're able to have this self-awareness, not only personally, but professionally, and say, hey, here's what I did, here's where I might have made a couple mistakes, but X, Y, and Z is what I really learned, grew from, and evolved to kind of that next level. So moving into the next bullet point around why you're leaving your current role, there's a couple of themes that you guys will all hear us reiterate because we think they're super important. And one of them is this: it's avoiding negativity around your previous employment. You never want to be bad talking your old boss, your old coworkers, the company, the culture, whatever it is. It's just a generally bad route to go. And you want to focus on the future. You want to not be focusing on why you are looking for a new role and leaving your current situation. You want to be looking to what you're moving towards, right? So you want to use what you've learned and what you've taken from your old from your old work, and then apply that and really get to the next level in that next role that you move into. So as I mentioned, focus on that position that you're interviewing for, have that growth mindset. There's a great article about growth mindset versus stagnant mindset, and you really want to be focusing on what the opportunity is to grow and become the best version of yourself professionally. So finally, the one that we mentioned previously, and another one of the really important themes, is if you're unsure of an answer. Oftentimes, nobody expects you to know everything, and oftentimes with a large range of different roles here that people are interviewing for, if you have something that's a little bit more technical in nature, or you have a hard skill set where knowing the answer might be a little bit more of a make or break, you're going to want to study up on those themes, those topics. As Isabel was mentioning, you want to really review and know what the topics of interest are going to be so that you can refamiliarize yourself with them. And then moving into more of the functional skill sets, you might not have that as much because it's going to be more of a personality gauge with the people you're interviewing with. But there's nothing wrong with being honest. I think just oftentimes with hiring managers and coworkers and just people that you work with, they aren't aware if you're having an issue or a roadblock or something's come up if you don't raise the alarm and raise a hand and let them know. So the ability to exemplify that in an interview goes a really, really long way. And saying, just an example would say, hey, Trip, really appreciate the question. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's a great opportunity. And one of the reasons I'm really interested in this role, because I think I'm going to be able to better answer that 30 days into the job, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You're owning that you don't know it, and you're not trying to sugarcoat or kind of beat around the bush with the people you're interviewing with.